I don't understand. Am I live? Am I live now? Are we live? I think we're live. Okay. Well, that's not a bad thing, getting some early sleep. Um, my camera showing me? Can you see me? All right, cool. Okay, cool. So I am live indeed. Do you see the full thing, or are you guys see? You know what? I'm gonna watch it on my phone with the volume off to see what you're seeing because I got a lot of stuff going on the screen. So let me just give me a half a second to click on my. Okay, so you guys are seeing my computer screen, but you aren't seeing me. All right. Well, this is the first time I've set this up. So how do I make you see me? No, I don't want to exit the stream. Cancel. Well, anyway, you can type question. I guess you can hear me, so you can type questions, and I can answer you while I figure this out. Just not sure why it's not showing a video on the stream. Do 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 do. There's 3 viewers. We're just working out a little technical difficulty for me to make this. Yeah, you see me, but it'd be better if you saw all of me. So how do I make this? Pat, you can't call me while I'm doing this. Yeah. You can't call me while I'm doing this. Anyways, yeah, just start typing some questions while I figure this out, and I'll try and keep an eye on this. I see we've got BS and Patrick Lanigan here, and my phone tells me there's 5 people in here. So if you have anything to say to me or ask while I stumble around, I'm sure I can get to it. Yeah, start. Preview, transition, quick cuts, fade. No. Oh, does that make me go? No. That didn't do it. Oh, hey. On my no. Was it this slider? Is that it? Am I full screen to you guys now? No, it just disappears again. Hi, Chef. Love from India. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad I'm getting some love from India. It appears that I have figured this out. What is the reason for going live right now? Are you cooking something live? No, I'm not cooking something live. Why I went live right now was a couple weeks ago. I was looking for something to do on the channel that might try something different. And I said, hey guys, when I hit 2,000 subscribers, do you want to see me do a live stream, maybe like a Q&A? And I put it as a poll, and the answer was yes. And I hit 2,000 subscribers last week, so I scheduled this at this time I was trying to go up at 9:30. That is when I get my peak views on my videos, so I figured that's when you guys would be on. So, anyways, that's why we're here. I am going to be cooking tomorrow. I'm going to be cooking. It won't be live. I'm going to post it after I get it edited, and it's going to be a video on chicken biryani. Because the other thing I said I'd do when I hit 2,000 video views, subscribers, is post a cooking video of. So I'm going to post a cooking video. I was going to let you pick something. Okay, I said I was going to post a poll of 4 of the videos I've reacted to, and you guys would get to vote on it. And that happened last week. We did a poll. Chicken biryani was the winner. I'm going to cook chicken biryani. Yes, I know it's 8:36 p.m. in India. I meant 9:30 Eastern time. That's my time zone. On the post, I did promo this ahead of time on a post. I said I'm going to be doing this 9:30 a.m. Eastern equal, and I put in brackets 8 p.m. in India because I know a lot of my viewers come from India. So lots of people might have just gotten started having dinner. Yeah, so my analytics though tell me I get my most views from India at this time. How late do you guys eat dinner in India? Because 8:30, I know Europe can eat dinner late. I didn't know India ate that late. We like to eat around between 6 and 7. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. Maybe in an hour. How late do you guys stay up? If you eat dinner at 10 p.m., what time do you go to bed at? I went back to Patrick Lanigan's question. Back to his question about the video journey. I want to share with you guys a little bit about how I got here. Sorry for eating. I'm hungry. I haven't had breakfast yet. This was years and years ago. I started on YouTube 10 years ago. And I have another channel called The Man's Garage. And I was buying a lot of tools. I was watching a lot of tool videos. We just got in our first house. And I'm watching all these tool reviews. And I'm like, oh, these are fun and interesting videos. I bet I could do that. So I started making some tool review videos, and they did okay. And back then, you just got monetized on YouTube just for signing up. So what I did was, I'd made about $10, $12, but they won't pay out unless you hit 100. And at that time, they started the monetization requirements. So I stopped getting monetized, and I was like, I've got $15 sitting in that account. How am I going to get it? And I thought, well, it'd probably be easier, since I'm a chef, to do cooking videos. So I started doing the most atrociously awful cooking videos. You can click on my channel, click the video tab, and then scroll all the way down to my very beginning and see where they are. And you can watch how bad they are, because they're so bad they're funny. But I had one video called How to Make a Fruit Tray. You'll see it down there. It's got about 120,000 views. And so anyways, I did the first 10, 15 videos. Nothing happened. I kind of gave up. Almost a whole year went by. I just happened to check to see where my views were. I got curious. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember doing YouTube. How did I get any views? And I was at like 40,000 views on my fruit tray. And I'm like, what? So then I started, and it started gaining more and more views every day. It ended up getting like 80,000 views that summer. So I started posting a cooking video every week. And I've tried different formats of cooking videos, making them long, short. And they're okay. They get a lot better. The more you do it, the better they get. Like the cliche is, your first 100 videos are your worst 100 videos. So I make it through the process. COVID happens. I've got two kids. One of them has autism. Something had to give, and I stopped shooting YouTube. So, now my kids are a little older, 8 and 5, and I was able to figure out, a way to get back into my hobby, because we'll just call this a hobby. Like, I'm not getting famous here. I'm not going to make $1 million. It's just a hobby. It's fun. So I started cooking videos again last year, 2 years ago now, I guess, because we've had New Year. So October 2023. And they were doing okay, but, at the same time, you can't just go back to what didn't work before. So I started doing some reaction videos. You can do reaction and also separate cooking videos. Yes, you're right. So let me continue on with the little bit of the story. And then when you know where I'm coming from, we can have a really good exchange with excellent questions. Because I started doing reaction videos on Sundays, and cooking videos came out on like Tuesday or Wednesday. And I was doing that for a while. But it takes a lot of time to do a cooking video. You gotta buy the groceries. You've got to come up with a good recipe. You've got to shoot it. So if it takes you an hour to cook something, it probably takes you 3 to 4 hours to shoot it. Then you got to edit it. Like, it's a process. So carrying in through that, the reaction videos are very low effort. You just have to sit in front of the camera. It takes about an hour to edit a 20-minute reaction video. It's not that big of a deal. But you guys have been asking me to do some cooking videos. And to cook what I'm reacting to. So that's why I said, when I hit 2,000 subscribers, I just made an arbitrary goal. Something I would hit soon, but would also feel exciting. So I said, when I hit 2,000 subscribers, I'll put a poll up. You guys can choose out of the 4 options I put in the poll what I'll cook. And I'm going to cook it. It was chicken biryani 1. And as long as it does well, if you guys enjoy it and like it, I'm going to do it every month. At the end of January, I will post another poll for the videos I reacted to in January. And I'll let you pick a video for me to cook that I have already reacted to. And that's how we'll do it, I think. Choose any recommended recipe and cook on Sunday or Saturday. Well, for me, I need to cook on Mondays or Tuesdays because I have Mondays and Tuesdays off from work, and that's when my kids are in school and I have the house to myself. But when I post them, that can change. I would like to keep posting the reaction videos on Sundays. I would like to post the cooking videos a separate day through the week. You're going to get maybe 1 a month, maybe 2. So, I mean, the day's kind of irrelevant because you can watch it whenever you want. That's the beauty of the internet. So, with that said, this week, tomorrow, I'm going to cook a chicken biryani. I've cooked one before. If you want to see how bad that was, I did it last year in the early spring, late summer, late winter, I mean. So February, March, somewhere in that time. And I found a recipe online, and I just asked, hey, in a prior video, I was like, hey, what can I cook that would be cool? And somebody said biryani, and somebody else said use cauliflower. So instead of rice, I made like a cauliflower pasta. And the recipe I found, it was garnished with mint. It had potato in it. I was kind of reading some of the history on it, and it says it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. It's a big dish for celebrations. So, and I didn't do a very good job at it. I didn't like it at all. I'm going to blame, my ignorance in Indian food and that recipe as well, because that recipe came from Food Network. It wasn't like an authentic Indian recipe. Since the chicken biryani reaction video I did was the Village Cooking Channel's whole chicken biryani, I'm going to try and do it like that. I'm going to go get a whole chicken and I'm gonna emulate what they did, so that way I can tell you if I liked what they did, and maybe and if I can pull it off, hopefully. For any history for chicken biryani, I can help. Yeah, you know what? When I post the video, anything I didn't get right, let me know, because I'm gonna try and do. Well, I'm just gonna cook it, right? Like, it's gonna be simple. I'm gonna get a chicken. I'm gonna get some basmati rice. I'm gonna see what herbs and spices I need. I'm gonna get my. We have an Indian store in town, so I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna try and get as much whole spices as I can. I have a mortar and pestle. I'm gonna smash the crap out of them and make my own seasonings. Oh. So, I mean, that's that. I mean, this is a small YouTube channel. I know like I said, we're at 2,000 subscribers now, which feels big, but I had 1,500 when I quit YouTube. I don't imagine a lot of them are still here. I might just be, in the background on their YouTube apps. They might not have the balloon clicked or anything. They might not get my updates. They might not care when they see me pop up. They might unfollow me. I've gained 500 subscribers in the last year, so 1,500 to 2,000. I mean, that's where I'm at. I treat it like I have 500 because every day I'm gaining 1 or 2 subscribers and I'm losing 1 or 2. So I'm imagining, as my channel gets bigger and the notifications get pushed, then that's what's happening. I think most of your viewers are Indians as of now. Actually, most traffic on internet is India, as our data is very, very inexpensive. Yeah, so when I post an Indian reaction to an Indian video, the analytics tell me that 80% of my viewers come from India. When I posted the reaction to a Guga Foods video 2-3 weeks ago, it was 40 something percent Indian and 40% American and 10% Canadian, and then the rest of the breakdown was in there. Some of you in other videos have replied and commented and said stuff like, hey, you should do a reaction to an Uncle Roger video or do a reaction to this, like. And when I do those, the person that asked for it might watch, but nobody else watches. So it's something that I just, it's not like it's hard to sit down here and do these. It just becomes a little, it's discouraging when you put the same effort into it and you get minimal results. So I kind of just want to, for the time being, till I grow a larger channel, just kind of stick with what's working. Like, I had a fantasy about, I'm monetized now. I'll start posting 3-4 times a week, and I'll make a lot of money, and I'll get to stop working, and I can do this full time. And it's not so much. I suggest you making videos while visiting Indian restaurants in your area. That will help gain viewers. Yeah, I could do that. I very well could. We have 2, maybe 3 in our area. So, I mean, that could be a short little, maybe like I go once a month. I was thinking, since we're in the state where we're trying stuff, right? I was thinking of doing like a lifestyle video. Where I go do my shopping and show a little bit of research and stuff towards the biryani, and then do a cooking demo video and make 2 videos out of it and see, because I can see from the YouTube Studio app how they do. People watch them. You can see, if there are those of you that never seen the inside of a YouTube Studio app, it tells you when people stop watching, where they come from, their age, their gender. It gives you all kinds of stuff. There are so many simple recipes in India, like daliwal chaat. It's very easy to make and very available. From India and their kids. Yeah, so you know what? That's actually, if BS, you just put here. Also, when you're at those restaurants, talk to the customers there, people from India and their kids. if you had told me that 6 years ago, I would have said not possible. There was like 4 Indian people in Chatham. Can't do it. But the immigration that Canada's had in the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, there was an explosion in immigration from India, and it is actually very, very possible. There's actually a couple Indian families live on my street. I live in a small suburb, like small subdivision, and one of them actually works at my restaurant. He's one of their kids. So there's a wife who is a nurse who works with my wife, and her son is got a job at my restaurant as a dishwasher. And it's interesting because like I can ask him questions. Like when I learned how common pressure cookers are in India, I was like, "Hey, do you have a pressure cooker at home?" And he's like, "Yeah, we got like 3 of them." And I'm like, "All right, that's cool." And you use them all the time? And he goes, "Yeah, every day." Whereas like for us, they're not very common. Like not a lot of people have. I would say probably less than 40% of people have pressure cookers. And that was kind of funny to learn because the big thing here a few years ago was called the Instapot, and it's a Indians really love watching white people go into and so the Instapot is an electric pressure cooker, and it's got like some timers and some fancy gadgetry to it. Indians really love watching white people go to our restaurants and reviewing our food. Yeah, I watched one video and it said when the white guy finally gets the Indian spicy, and there's two people. There's an Indian fellow and his white friend, and the white guy says, "Oh, I go to that restaurant. I get the spicy. I'm not sure what the dish was, but whatever it was spicy." He goes, "I get the spicy one all the time," and his Indian friend says, "No, you don't. You think you get the spicy. You don't get the spicy." So the Indian guy goes in there and orders the dish and says, "Can I get it spicy?" And they give it to him. And the white guy goes in about 10 minutes later and asks for the same dish spicy, and they give it to him. And when they go back to their apartment, it's not even close. Like the Indian eats the white guy's takeout and says, "This is mild. This is not spicy." And the white guy goes, "What do you mean this isn't spicy? This is spicy." And he takes a bite out of the Indian roommate's takeout, and he starts crying. The tears are coming from his eyes. He's like, "I had no idea." And he goes, "Yeah, when white people ask for spicy, they don't give them real spicy." And I'm reading the comments. I'm going through them. And there's one guy that said, "I've been going to the same Indian restaurant for 4 years, and they finally just gave me the spicy. They made me work for it. They made me work up to it. I asked them for spicy on the first day, and they said, 'No, we can give you something a little less. You're not ready for spicy.'" And they made him work up to it. And he'd been going there faithfully for 4 years, and they finally rewarded him with the spicy. And he said it was the best cry he ever had. um, I'm not sure how spicy your food is, but that sounds, to me, that does not, I don't know. I've had some spicy stuff. I had a customer once bring me some two little small jars, maybe a quarter of an ounce each, and one was ground ghost pepper, and the other was ground Carolina Reaper, and that's what they were. They were just the straight ground pepper, and I stuck a toothpick in there, and I tasted them both, and just from the toothpick, I was like, "Wow, how can anybody eat this stuff?" So I did not. I've used it sparingly when it was fresh. When I had some customers ask for spicy, I had one of my friends come in who asked for a spicy pasta one night, so I made him a regular spicy pasta. But then I also put the Carolina Reaper in, and I made him a small side dish of the same pasta. And he said to me, "Never give me that again. There was no flavor to make it worth that heat. You just did that to be mean." So, I don't know. All right, so there are five of you in here. If you'd like to know anything else, maybe I'll tell you. So I got my first job. My first job was when I was 16 years old. It was a dishwasher at a restaurant, a local Tex-Mex place that's still in business. I was a dishwasher. I was the dishwasher there for about 6 months, and then I got to become a line cook. I was in high school, grade 11 and 12. I worked there, and then I decided when I was in the 12th grade. So in Canada, when you're in grade 12, that's the last year for high school. So generally, you send off your applications for post secondary education. Now, we have two different streams, we'll call them. You can go to university and get a degree, or you can go to college and get a diploma. So I applied to, I, I had two ways I wanted to go. I either wanted to be a lawyer or I was having fun cooking. So I was like a lawyer or a chef. So to go to law school, you need a bachelor's degree, which is a university degree. So I applied to three universities for political science at two of them and philosophy at the third one, because those are both different bachelor's degrees that can get you into law school. And then I applied to five colleges, all for culinary arts programs. I got into one university, I got into all five colleges. So that kind of made my decision for me. And then I decided, so you can pay to go to college to get a culinary management diploma. How old is the lamb in general in the dishes from restaurants and Uber Eats, DoorDash, etc.? I'm from Mumbai, the famous photo. I'll be happy to see you. Okay, so I can't speak to other restaurants about their lamb. Our lamb comes in a box, it comes frozen, it comes from New Zealand. New Zealand is regarded as having some of the highest quality lamb. Lamb has to be under 1 year of age, or it's not a lamb, it's mutton. So it has to be under 1 year. And generally speaking, when you're asking, so if you're asking about how old it is, it's under a year. But if you're asking about how long it's been sitting on the shelf, that's anyone's guess. I know. So we get the New Zealand lamb, and I generally go through. In 2 months, I'll go through 3 cases. So I'm turning it pretty fast. So I would say it's as fresh as frozen lamb's gonna be. Back to my story. Now we have an apprenticeship style system here too. Some jobs you can go to college and get a diploma and do them. Some jobs you can go work in it and get an apprenticeship, and a lot of jobs you can just go work at. Like you don't need a degree for cooking. You don't need an apprenticeship. You don't need a diploma. You can just go do it. But if you have that educational background, it makes it easier. So I was able to enroll as an apprentice, and instead of paying $2,000 a year for school, I only had to pay $600 a year for school. And when I was finished school, actually, I got as an apprentice, and they do this for all trades. So if you're apprenticing as a mechanic or a plumber or an electrician or a cook, it's all the same. You get a $1,000 grant for finishing school. So I paid $600, but then I got $1,000 back, and then I was able to turn all my paperwork in. You finish the 2 years of school. I went 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, September through June for 2 years at Fanshawe College in London, Ontario. And I got my Cook's 2 certificate from there. At the same time, while working the other 5 days a week, I had a book that was called an apprentice skills book, and you'd get it for every type of apprenticeship, right? Like, so the culinary one, like each section was like there's a beef section, a chicken section, a seafood section, a vegetable section, a breakfast section, and you basically while you're at work, you have to work through the different stations in the kitchen. So the restaurant I worked at didn't offer everything to fill the book out, so I went in on my own time and made different dishes for my manager at the time to kind of sign off on that I was proficient at. And then you take that book, and included in it at the front is your hour log. So you need 6,000 hours, which is 3 years of full-time work, 2,000 hours a year. So I took that book plus my certificate from the college, handed it into the apprenticeship office, and then then they give you back a certificate of apprenticeship, and then you can write the exam for the Red Seal certificate. You need a 70% to pass. Some of the questions are worded a little, it took me 5 tries. I'm going to be honest with you. It took me 5 tries. I got a 68, all 4 first tries. And they give you, when they send you your letter telling you pass or fail, it's got each section of the test and tells you how you did. And it's 150 questions. So to fail by 2% means I got 3 more questions wrong than I should have. And when I looked at my first 2 results, I got 19 out of 20 on the first section the first time. I got 20 out of 20 the second time. Then the next section was 10 out of 10, but then only 8 out of 10. And it was the same test. So that made it that was a little frustrating, because I was like, oh, well, the third time I'm going to nail it, because my best 2 results would put me at an 85. No. You go with that kind of pressure and you don't feel it. I guess maybe I just don't do well under written exams. But when I passed it, I paid attention, and there's tools in the room to help you. There's a dictionary. So anything I wasn't sure about, I just grabbed the dictionary and looked it up. And it's not just the dictionary in there, but if you're doing your electrical exam, there's an electrical code book in the room. If you're doing a plumbing exam, there's a plumbing code book in the room. So they're not trying to trick you or make this hard. So I grabbed the dictionary, and because there are classical definitions to dishes like a Monte Cristo sandwich, which is which one's that? And I've never made one. We talked about it in school in food theory for 30 seconds. I think it's a grilled cheese sandwich made like a French toast, where you put the cheese in between the bread and then dip it in egg and then cook it in a frying pan. I could be mistaking that with the other sandwich on the test, but it's in there, and I'm like, crap, what's a Monte Cristo sandwich? Sure enough, it's in the dictionary. So I ended up passing the exam finally, and then doing a post Red Seal exam for a chef certificate. So I've rambled on a lot. Do you have any more questions for me? Or I'm just going to keep rambling? I'm from Mumbai. The famous Vada Payo is from Mumbai. I will be happy to see making you. Well, you know what? There's a good chance I'll make some, because I'm gonna keep looking for different videos to react to, and if it's a very popular video, it's gonna win the poll when I post it up after. And even after a couple of months go by and I've got a few, so second place this month I think is the paneer or the fried chicken. So 4 or 5 months from now I'll have 4 different runner-ups, and I can do another poll and cook a second time that month. So is everybody having a good day? And is there any specific questions you have for me? Alright, well, you'll notice I took last week off. I didn't post a video, I'm guessing the last 2 Sundays. Christmas break. How can I chat with you one-on-one? Well, you can always follow me on Instagram and send me a DM on Instagram. I generally reply to most things as long as they're polite. I don't reply to anything that sounds rude or harassing, and none of you guys are like that, guys or gals. But every once in a while, you do get somebody that just sends you a message and says, "Hey, you don't know what you're doing. You should kill yourself." I mean, it happens. People are mean. Those messages, they just get thrown in the trash right away. But anything that's said, with civility, generally, I get a reply because I'm not famous yet. I don't get many of these. So if you're interested in picking my brain, right now is the time to do it. There was actually somebody did that. They clicked my Instagram, they sent me a DM, and he said, "Hi, I'm in Canada too." And he just assumed I was in Vancouver. I don't know why, but he was actually from Hamilton, and he said, if you're ever in this area, I'd love to take you to a couple Indian grocery stores or restaurants. And I said, well, you know what? I actually live only about 3 hours away from Hamilton. I'm near Windsor, Ontario. That's really as specific as I want to get. And I said, but I was born in Hamilton. My mom lives in Hamilton. My sister lives in Hamilton. So I do go to Hamilton every once in a while. Generally, though, my mom's single, my sister's single. I have the wife and kids. Generally, they come here to visit. It's easier for one of them to come here than the four of us to go up there. But sometimes I do go up there. And he was like, wow, well, if you ever are up here, let me know. So that could be something that happens maybe this summer. I go up there and hang out. The other thing I was thinking of, like, because some of you mentioned I should be getting some food from my local Indian restaurants, is maybe if I'm going to watch a reaction video to butter chicken, maybe I go get some butter chicken and I eat some butter chicken while I'm reacting to it. That could be kind of funny. And then I can say, like, does this butter chicken represent that kind of butter chicken? Is it all relatively the same? I don't know. I mean, I know there's regional differences and everything. Everybody puts their own little spin on things. So there is always that. Mm. Itchy mustache. Okay, we're at some dead silence again. So before I continue rambling, any other questions? Anybody? Okay. Well, we've been running for almost 40 minutes, and I'd be happy to sit here for another hour, but I've kind of run out of things to say without being provoked. So if there's no other questions. Yeah, Canada is a second home. There's a lot of Indian immigration to Canada. Our governments don't always get along, though, but that doesn't mean that the people don't. Oh, you know what else is interesting? I thought I'd just mention this. So what happened was, I did this reaction video, and it was to men with pots, and it was an outdoor video, and they don't speak. And it did okay, like 150 views, which is good for me. I think that's good. And then the next week, when I was looking for something, Village Cooking Channel popped up, and that was the first. That was the first Indian reaction video. And where was I going with this? I lost my train of thought. On my screen, it will pop up with a yellow banner if my stream quality goes down that says you may experience glitching. and then it comes and goes and comes and goes, and it totally broke my train of thought. Oh yeah, I know what I was gonna say now. So the videos in India do, I'm like, oh, they like watching me talk about Indian food. That's kind of cool. They probably like seeing somebody learn. And then while doing a couple of them, I found out that Chinese food is the second biggest food in India. From watching your food labs where they were doing like some Chinese Indian fusion. And I thought, hey, why don't I try some Chinese videos? So that's what happened last month. I posted a couple second videos a week, and I did some Chinese videos that nobody watched. And when I say nobody watched, I mean I've got between 1 and 12,000 views on Indian reaction videos, and I got about 30 views on these Chinese videos, which is fine. Because you know what I didn't know? I didn't know they don't have YouTube in China. I found that out after I'd posted them, and I'm like, they don't have YouTube in China. That might explain this. Are people in East India from China? People in India. Yeah. So I didn't realize that YouTube isn't there in China. Um, so while I'm testing out different things to see how it works and doesn't work, I may do, like I did a reaction video to some Indonesian top 10 Indonesian dishes. So, maybe I might pop up the occasional I might work through those top 10 dishes and find a video specifically on each one of them and work my way through those, but I'll just sprinkle them in from time to time. Yeah, and if there's any other uh, places you want to see me shoot videos related to, just leave them in the comments. Kolkata has the only Chinatown in India. Okay. So when you say the only Chinatown in India, are there a lot of Chinese people that live there? Or is it just a commercial type place that has Chinese themed restaurants or stores? I'm gonna guess you mean people though. I've also noticed that when watching these videos, because sometimes they don't have English subtitles, but YouTube does auto-generated subtitles. Sometimes it completely misses the mark on the subtext of the way things are meant to be said, and sometimes you don't get jokes, and sometimes you get jokes. Sometimes you'll see me laugh. Maybe it's inappropriate because what he said isn't funny, but the translation is funny. Yeah. Um, Fun fact, like you're pointing out the Chinese descendants there. Fun fact, Toronto, Canada has the largest population of Italian people outside of Italy. So that's Italian culture is very predominant around in Ontario. So I'm just kind of sitting here idle. Any other questions? Some Chinese managed from China years ago to. Okay. Also French and Punjabis. French and Punjabis. Yeah. So, okay, what is Punjabi then? Is Punjabi. Is that what it. So, if I think of a typical Indian person, is that a Punjabi or are there two different kinds of people? That's something I'm interested to know. state in the north of India. Well, my wife has no interest. She used to do cameraman for me, so I'd say my camera wife is behind the camera running it. But she's too busy with her own stuff. My oldest son has he has level 3 autism. He's 8 years old. He doesn't speak. He can't speak. He's still in diapers. He's pretty bright though when it comes to stuff, but he just doesn't have the hand-eye coordination or the patience to really do anything. And my youngest son is just a little on the too young side to help. Punjabi is a state in India, and all there are Punjabi. Okay, that makes sense. Is there any other difference than them other than they're from a state in India? Like, we have, like, I live in Ontario. My friend, really good friend of mine we've been friends since we were 8. And he moved to Alberta for work. But I wouldn't call him an Albertan. And I wouldn't call anybody from Alberta an Albertan. I'd just call him a Canadian. Is there something unique about Punjabi that makes you want to point out they're from Punjabi? Or is it, like, do they have their own history? Okay, so different states have different languages. Yeah, so we would say that about, like, Quebec. That's the only province in Canada with a separate language. They speak French. And in Quebec, a lot of English-speaking Canada, we don't dislike the people from Quebec. We just dislike Quebec itself. When you go to, like, when you're here in Ontario, a lot of our stuff is bilingual. So if you buy, this can of pop has the ingredient list in both French and English. Okay? If you go to Quebec, it's just French. When I go to a public building, like a library or something, I mean, now the signs are just the universal green running man, but it used to have, say, exit in both French and English. But if you go to Quebec, the signs are just straight French because they have a cultural law to preserve French identity. So there's really not much English service. Whereas in Ontario, if I call the government, any government agency, like say I want to get my driver's license renewed, the very first thing on the phone is for English press 1, for French press 2. So it's very integrated bilingual in the rest of the country, but in Quebec is strictly French, and that is something that a lot of English Canada dislikes. We don't really find it fair that we've got to deal with French everything and they don't have to deal with English stuff. And then there's a separatist movement in Quebec and there's two political parties, one on the federal nation, one federally and one provincially. So they have in our parliament, the federal separatist party from Quebec has like 40 seats. And we're headed into an election soon, so that actually means that, like, I guess the polls show that if the election were held tomorrow, they would actually be the official opposition party and have the second place, which is astounding because they only have members of parliament from Quebec. They only run in Quebec, but the seats are representative. So each seat generally represents about 100,000 people. So Canada's got like 40 million people, but half of the population lives in Ontario. So if you got 40 million people in Ontario, in Canada, and almost 20 million in Ontario, almost half the seats are going to come from Ontario, and then the next highest populous province is Quebec. So they're going to get the second highest number of seats. And then as it goes on and on throughout the country, like the maritime provinces have pretty small populations. So, anyways, that's, you know what? Let me read some of your stuff. Indians are very different from states. Yeah, so just like how I described with Quebec, your provinces are kind of like how we deal with Quebec. It's like how French, English, Italians, Chinese are very different. Similarly, Indians are very different from each state. Yeah, you know what? It was really nice talking to you too. Some might look similar due to during ancient times, but now pretty different in language and customs, but our religion is the same with hundreds of different deities that we worship. Yeah, so that's actually it's actually funny. Not funny, but I tell you a little story. When I was in school, so we have two kinds of schools in Ontario. We have uh, public and Catholic. And public just means no religion. They're both schools are funded by the government. There's a public system and a Catholic system. And when you're a homeowner, when you do your property taxes every year, you just tick the box that your kids go to. They either go to the public or the Catholic. And if you don't have kids, you still tick a box. So I went to Catholic school. So when I was in high school, religion class, you have to take religion as mandatory in high school to get a Catholic high school diploma. So in grade 9 it was like New Testament, and grade 10 was Old Testament, and then grade 11 was global religions, where we spent for that semester, we spent, like maybe 2 weeks on Hinduism, 2 weeks on Judaism, 2 weeks on Muslim, a week on Buddhism, Confucianism, and there was also a section on the divisions of Christianity, on how different Christian religions split from Catholic Church. And me and my partner Nathan, every we got put in partners, and we had to do a report on a different, each group got a different religion or a part of that religion, and we got Hinduism. So our textbook at the time said that there are 2 million distinct deities in Hinduism. So I thought it'd be and part of the assignment was to like list all the deities, and with the exception of in Hinduism, we didn't have to do that because I'd probably still be listing them off, but just pick the top. But do you remember do you remember old school printers that had that tractor feed paper? So when you would print something, it had the all the holes on the side, and it would feed it through the printer like that, and all the papers were connected. So I had an old one of those, like a stack 500 sheet paper, and it's all connected, right? So I held it in my hand and I said, as part of the assignment, we have to list off all the deities of our religion. So let's start with we have 2.2 million. Let's start. And I held the first paper, and the stack landed and hit the ground. Only my teacher thought it was funny, and that's all that matters because she's the only one that was giving me a grade. So I don't know. I thought it was funny at the time. You know what I just realized too? Out of the 3 viewers, one of them's me because I got this open on my phone just so I can see how it looks. So there's actually only 2 of you here. Alright, anything else? Okay, well, I am going to close the chat and end it up, and then I'm gonna hop over and look for that village cooking channel on Briani and make an ingredient list out of it, so I can do some shopping today and some cooking tomorrow. Unless you have any other questions, I'm gonna head out. And if you liked this live stream, if you could do me a favor, so when you go On this video, when I see it, there's two separate tabs. There's live stream chat and chat. Oh, pardon me. And if you could just leave a comment in the chat section after this closes that you were here and had a good time, let me know, okay? Otherwise, as I've started to make my traditional exit now, I've been Chef James, and you've been you. Have yourself a good week. Where is my mouse? Okay. Yeah, I do. Yes, yes, you do, and I think I've right now I'm able to respond to almost all of them. So I think we've chatted a few times through the comment sections. But if there's anything you want me to, if you've made any, okay. So I guess what I was trying to say is, for me to reread the comments that have been dropped today live, I basically have to go back in and watch the video and see how they come up. You can kind of fast forward to the end, but there's a separate, so for live streams, there's a stream chat and then there's an actual comment section. So if there's anything that we discussed today that you would like me to go back and maybe watch a specific type of dish or reaction video, I need you to put it in the actual comment section, not the stream section, for the comments under this video, okay? That way I make sure I can get to it, all right? And now, officially, goodbye, good evening, have a good night, and I'll talk to you next time we do this.